The Saudi Arabian Grand Prix delivered a bombshell moment. Max Verstappen, the four-time world champion, made a decision that left everyone stunned. After receiving a controversial penalty that cost him the race win, Verstappen chose complete silence, refusing to discuss the incident at all. This wasn't just a momentary frustration. Verstappen has fundamentally changed his approach to media interaction, claiming that driver criticism is now effectively impossible in F1. His calculated silence speaks volumes about the current state of driver expression in the sport. Let's break down exactly what happened in Saudi Arabia, why the penalty was so controversial, and what this new Verstappen approach means for Formula One going forward. The drama began at the very start of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Verstappen had secured pole position at the Jeddah Corniche circuit, but McLaren's Oscar Piastri got a significantly better launch when the lights went out. As they approached turn 1, Piastri had pulled alongside Verstappen on the inside line. The Australian had positioned himself perfectly. His front axle was clearly alongside Verstappen's mirror at the apex of the corner. According to the 2025 Drivers' Standards Guidelines, this meant the corner belonged to Piastri. Verstappen, fighting to maintain his position, attempted to go around the outside. However, he ran out of room as Piastri held his line through the corner. Rather than concede the position, Verstappen cut across the escape area and rejoined the track still in the lead. The radio messages that followed showed both drivers had completely different perspectives on what happened. "He needs to give that back. I was ahead," Piastri told his team. "He just forced me off," was Verstappen's interpretation. The stewards reviewed the incident using positioning data, video evidence, timing, telemetry, and in-car footage. Their verdict was clear. Piastri owned the corner, and Verstappen had gained a lasting advantage by going off track. The result was a 5-second time penalty for the Dutchman. This penalty proved decisive. Despite Verstappen leading the first stint of the race and showing strong pace, when he served his penalty during his pit stop, he emerged behind Piastri. Verstappen crossed the finish line just 2.8 seconds behind the Australian, meaning without the penalty, he would have won the race. What happened next was unprecedented. When David Coulthard attempted to interview Verstappen after the race, the Dutchman refused to discuss the incident at all. Verstappen said,
"Yeah, I'm going to keep it quite short. I just want to say a big thank you to the fans here in Jeddah. It's been a great weekend. I love the track, and the rest is what it is. I'm looking forward to Miami, so see you there."
Then he walked away before Coulthard could ask follow-up questions. In the post-race press conference, Verstappen maintained this approach. When directly asked about the incident by host Tom Clarkson, Verstappen gave a response that shocked the F1 world.
Your take on what happened at the start?
Yeah, start happened, turn 1 happened, and suddenly it was lap 50. It just all went super fast. So, yeah. The problem is that I cannot share my opinion about it because I might get penalized also, so it's better not to speak about it.
When Clarkson tried to refocus the question on just the wheel-to-wheel racing aspect, Verstappen simply replied, "It happened very fast." "Yeah?" And when asked if Red Bull had discussed giving the position back immediately, Verstappen doubled down.
I think it's better not to talk about it. Anything I say or try to say about it, it might get me in trouble, so...
This wasn't just a driver frustrated with a penalty. This was a calculated decision to protest what Verstappen sees as an impossible situation for drivers under current FIA regulations. Verstappen's refusal to speak wasn't just about this single incident. He specifically referenced the FIA's regulations restricting driver speech.
What you want to say, but is this directed perhaps at the FIA's swearing rules specifically, or is it directed at something else? Because literally, just for the sake of clarity.
Well, no, I mean, I know that I cannot not swear in here, but at the same time, you can also not be critical or any kind of form that might harm or danger or... Let me get the sheet out. There's a lot of lines, so it's better. That's why it's better not to talk about it, because you can put yourself in trouble, and I don't think anyone wants that.
This references changes to the FIA's rulebook over the winter that codified penalties for drivers who either repeatedly swear or criticize the governing body. These rules were introduced by FIA President Mohammed bin Sulayem and can lead to serious consequences, including 1-month bans and championship point deductions. Verstappen had already faced punishment last year when he was given the motorsport equivalent of community service for swearing in a press conference at the Singapore Grand Prix. Similarly, Ferrari's Charles Leclerc was fined for the same offense in Las Vegas. The specific rule in the FIA Sporting Code forbids any words, deeds, or writings that have caused moral injury or loss to the FIA, its bodies, its members, or its executive officers, and more generally on the interest of motorsport and on the values defended by the FIA. In Verstappen's view, this effectively makes it impossible for drivers to express honest opinions about controversial decisions. He stated,
Like I said before, I think it's just the world we live in. You can't share fully your opinion because it is not appreciated, apparently. Or people can't handle the full truth. So, yeah, for me, I mean, honestly, it's better if I don't need to say too much. It also saves my time because we already have to do so much, you know. So, yeah, it's honestly just how everything is becoming. Everyone is super sensitive about everything.
While Verstappen stayed silent, Red Bull team principal Christian Horner had no issue presenting their side of the argument. Horner arrived at his media session armed with printed screenshots from Verstappen's onboard camera that he claimed showed his driver was ahead at the apex of Turn 1. "I thought it was very harsh," Horner said. "We didn't concede the position because we didn't believe that he'd done anything wrong. You can quite clearly see at the apex of the corner that Max is clearly ahead."
Notion of let them race. I don't know where Max was supposed to go at that first corner. You know, we've lost the race by 2.6 seconds, so it's tough. I think the most positive thing for us today, the pace was there. It was a very positive race. You know, congrats to Oscar. Yeah.
Horner also questioned the steward's interpretation of the rules. "When you look at that," he points to screenshot, "I can't see how they got to that conclusion. Max can't just disappear at this point in time. So perhaps these rules need a re-look at. I don't know what happened to let them race on the first lap. That just seemed to have been abandoned." Red Bull advisor Helmut Marko backed this view, asking rhetorically, "I think the race was lost at the start. And really, where was Max supposed to go?" Horner explained why Red Bull didn't instruct Verstappen to immediately give the position back. "If we'd have given it up, the problem is you then obviously run in the dirty air as well, and you are then at risk with George Russell. So the best thing to do was at that point we got the penalty, get your head down, keep going." Despite their disagreement with the penalty, Horner confirmed Red Bull wouldn't formally protest the decision. Horner said, "Obviously, we spoke to the stewards after the race. They think it was a slam dunk. So the problem is, if we're to protest it, then they're going to most likely hold their line." McLaren's view of the incident was, understandably, completely different from Red Bull's. Oscar Piastri, who claimed his third win of the season and took the championship lead for the first time in his career, was confident the stewards made the right call. "I got a great launch and got myself alongside," Piastri explained. "From that point, I obviously had to brake quite late, but I knew that I had enough of my car alongside to take the corner. We obviously both braked extremely late, but for me, I braked as late as I could while staying on the track. I think how it unfolded is how it should have been dealt with."
1 and 2.
I got a great launch and got myself alongside, and from that point, you know, I knew that I obviously had to brake quite late, but you know, I knew that I had enough of my car alongside to take the corner. We obviously both braked extremely late, but I think for me, you know, I braked as late as I could without while staying on the track, and I think it was, you know, how it unfolded is how it should have been dealt with.
McLaren Racing CEO Zach Brown was even more direct.
I definitely thought a penalty was deserved. You know, Oscar was clearly up the inside, got a better start, and you know, you need to use the racetrack. Whether it's a 5-second penalty or give the position back, I think it could go either way. But so I thought it was definitely appropriate. It was Oscar's corner, and at some point you got to
McLaren team principal Andrea Stella described it as a clear case that shouldn't create any polemic, adding, "Oscar, thanks to a very good launch off the grid, and thanks to positioning the car on the inside, was slightly ahead of Max. managing to keep the car within the track limits. Then he gained the rights to the corner, and obviously in that situation, you can't overtake off track.
I think Oscar today won the race with a great launch off the grid, perfect management of corner one. He was tricky alongside with Verstappen, but he managed to be just that little bit ahead onto the apex, keep the car on track, and he deserved to have the lead. And once in the lead, then I think here, the slipstream is still detrimental, so if you are in clean air, you can manage. And I think Oscar did that once again very well. He looks like a veteran.
Beyond his concerns about FIA penalties, Verstappen also explicitly mentioned social media as a reason for his new approach of saying as little as possible.
No, it just has to do with social media in general, and how the world is. I prefer not to talk, or not a lot, because sometimes your words can be twisted or people interpret it in a different way, so it's honestly better not to say too much.
Verstappen has been highly protective of his friends and family during past social media controversies, notably after the 2022 Brazilian Grand Prix, and has systematically reduced his media commitments as much as possible. His new approach appears to be a conscious decision to limit his exposure to both FIA penalties and social media backlash.
Yeah, for me, I mean, honestly, it's better if I don't need to say too much. It also saves my time, because we already have to do so much, you know. So, yeah, it's honestly just how everything is becoming. Everyone is super sensitive about everything. Yeah, and then, of course, what we have currently, like, we cannot be critical anyway, so that's fine. Less talking, even better for me.
The width of this is the margin by which Lewis Hamilton has been disqualified.
Unfortunate, but very, very hard to keep up with the guys ahead. But
Ferrari's 2025 Formula One season has begun with disappointment rather than dominance. 3 races in, and the prestigious Italian team finds itself struggling to match the pace of McLaren and Red Bull. For Lewis Hamilton, who made the high-profile switch to Ferrari this season, the reality has proven far from the dream scenario many envisioned. The Scuderia currently sits 4th in the Constructors' Championship with a mere 35 points, a whopping 76 points behind leaders McLaren. What's going wrong at Maranello, and why did Hamilton look so shocked after the Japanese Grand Prix when discussing what Ferrari had discovered about their car? Let's dive into the technical crisis that's plaguing Ferrari and threatening to derail their season before it's truly begun. The numbers tell a sobering story. After 3 races, Ferrari has failed to secure a single podium in any Grand Prix. Their sole bright spot came when Hamilton claimed victory in the China sprint race, a performance that makes their Sunday struggles all the more perplexing. Team principal Fred Vasseur has acknowledged the team's difficulties, though he's attempting to maintain a positive outlook. Speaking after the Japanese Grand Prix, he said, "I'm used to it because the last 2 years we started like this. For sure it is not ideal, and I would prefer to win the first one. But we don't need to change the approach from last year, as we are almost in the same situation, perhaps a bit worse in terms of pace, and the reaction of the team was very, very strong." Vasseur estimates Ferrari is lagging behind the frontrunners by 2 to 3 tenths behind pole position and perhaps 2-3 tenths behind in the race. While this gap might seem small on paper, in Formula One terms, it represents a significant performance deficit, one that's proving difficult to overcome. The results reflect this gap clearly. At Suzuka, Charles Leclerc could manage only 4th place, while Hamilton finished a distant 7th. These performances followed a disastrous Chinese Grand Prix where both Ferrari drivers were disqualified. Hamilton for an excessively worn plank, and Leclerc for falling below the minimum weight requirement. At the heart of Ferrari's problems lies a fundamental technical challenge: ride height. In modern Formula One, with its ground effect aerodynamics, how close a car runs to the ground dramatically affects performance. The lower the car, the more downforce generated, but this comes with significant risks. Hamilton's disqualification in China exposed Ferrari's dilemma. The FIA found that the plank thickness on his SF25 was less than the permitted 9 millimeters, a direct consequence of running the car too low. This violation highlights the delicate balance Ferrari is struggling to achieve. After the Japanese Grand Prix, Hamilton revealed something that shocked many observers. Speaking to the media, he stated, "We found something on the car that has been underperforming for the last 3 races, so I am really hoping when that is fixed that I will start getting better results."
We found something on the car that's not been underperforming for the last 3 races, so I'm really hoping when that's fixed, I'll start getting a bit better results. But yeah, I mean, I'm losing just over a tenth a lap with this issue we have, so I'm hoping in the next race it's fixed.
This revelation confirmed what many had suspected. Ferrari is grappling with a specific technical issue impacting their performance, particularly with Hamilton's car. The ride height problems facing Ferrari are multi-layered and complex. To understand them, we need to examine how the SF25 is behaving on track. Ferrari appears to have designed their 2025 Challenger with a slightly softer rear suspension approach compared to their rivals. While this offers advantages, particularly in low-speed corners where mechanical grip is crucial, it creates significant challenges elsewhere. When the car accelerates to higher speeds, the increased downforce pushes the rear down, causing the car to squat. This squatting motion leads to the plank making contact with the track surface, especially over bumps and through high-speed corners, resulting in excessive wear. In China, Hamilton's infringement specifically involved the rear skids being worn down too much, a clear indicator of this squatting issue. The team faces 2 potential solutions, neither ideal. First, stiffen the suspension. This would prevent the squatting, but at the cost of mechanical grip in slower corners. Second, raise the ride height. This would keep the plank from wearing down, but would reduce downforce across all speed ranges, making the car slower overall. For Japan, Ferrari opted for the second approach. Hamilton confirmed this strategy, stating, "We are running higher than we would like. I don't know if everyone is in the same boat in that respect, but particularly obviously, after the last race, we're a bit higher than we want to be." The most surprising element of Hamilton's post-Japan comments was his revelation about a specific issue affecting his car. When asked if Ferrari was confident they could solve the problem, Hamilton replied, "They are aware of it. They don't know what's caused it or why, so when the new component comes, it will be gone, and it will be the same with both cars. Considering that, I'm relatively happy with the race pace that I did have, given what I had. Otherwise, a good performance from the team. The engineers and the mechanics all did a good job."
I think it's just they're aware of it and they don't know what's caused, they don't know why. And so, as I said, when the new component comes, hopefully it'll be gone and it'll be the same across cars. Considering that, I'm relatively happy with the race pace that I did have, given what I had. But otherwise, good performance from the team, and I think myself and Ricardo, I think, did a really good job, and the engineers and mechanics.
This statement suggests Ferrari has identified a component failure or design flaw specifically affecting Hamilton's car, costing him just over a tenth a lap. While this might not sound significant, in the ultra-competitive world of Formula One, a tenth of a second can represent several positions on the grid. Sky Sports F1 pundit Jacques Villeneuve interpreted Hamilton's comments as confirmation of wider issues. He said, "It gives credit to the rumor that there's something at the rear and they have to run it higher, and so on." So, it sounds like a stiffness issue somewhere. Something that's happening, and it looks like they are making a whole new bit because they are not sure which one is creating the issue. Fellow commentator Naomi Schiff added, "It does sound like they have an inherent problem with the car which needs to be solved before they can make real progress." Ferrari team principal Fred Vasseur has been quick to dismiss speculation about a fundamental design flaw in the SF25. Instead, he portrays Ferrari's challenges as part of the normal development process all teams face with the current generation of cars. Vasseur explained, "We all want to run the car lower. We would all have more downforce in the situation for everybody, but there is a limit. The limit is bottoming, and the limit is the regulations. We are all spending the weekend on where is the limit and where can we run the car a bit lower, and then you are too low. It is the same for everybody, and we all know with this type of car, performance is a lot linked to the ride height." Vasseur emphasized, this isn't a Ferrari-specific problem. He said, it is true for us, it is true for everybody. It is true today, but it was true for the last 2 years. We were disqualified in Austin in 2023 with Mercedes because we were trying to reach the same point. It is not the characteristic of the car this year or the characteristic of the Ferrari. It is true for all the field.